Your limitations are not the problem. You've been staring at everything you don't have, the connections, the resources, the advantages everyone around you seems to carry, and you've been using that as the reason you haven't moved. Toji Fushiguro had no cursed energy. In a world where your cursed energy determined your worth and your place in it, and he became the thing nobody in those rooms had an answer for. This video is about how and what it means for you. Because the answer isn't in what you're missing at all, it's in what Toji did when everything was working against him. Jujutsu society isn't just a world that uses cursed energy. It's a world organized entirely around it. Rank, status, survival, all of it flows from one source. Every world has a version of this, a structure that decides who belongs and what you're worth before you've had a chance to show what you can actually do. Toji came from the Zenin Clan, one of the three great Jujutsu families, a bloodline that believed curse technique strength was the only thing that mattered. So they discarded him, not quietly, completely. If you've ever been measured by a system that couldn't see what you had, you will already know what that feels like. Born into the room that should have had a place for him. Told the thing that room valued most, he didn't have it. Pushed out. Left to operate in a world that had already decided what he was worth. Look at how he moves in that frame. Not like someone the system forgot. Like someone who decided the system's opinion of him was irrelevant. That's not confidence. That's a man who looked at everything the room said he couldn't be and chose a different ceiling. When it discarded Toji, when it stopped watching him, stopped measuring him, stopped expecting anything from him, it left him completely alone in the space where he could become something it had no framework for. The system's rejection was also the system's blind spot, and Toji built himself in it. The system in your life has decided something about you, not what you've decided, what the system decided. Because that gap between what it's measuring and what you're actually building, that's not a problem. That's the space. Toji didn't overcome what he was missing. He stopped letting it decide what was possible. Most people never separate those two things. What you're missing arrives, and attached to it automatically is what that means about where you can go. No cursed energy means no future in this world. No connections means no path forward. No resources means no starting point. What you're missing and what you decide it means, they arrive together. You felt that the moment something confirms what you thought you were missing, and suddenly the whole picture shifts. Toji pulled them apart. He looked at what he was missing, real, permanent, not going away, and made a specific decision. That it said nothing about what he could become. Not a motivational decision, not a feeling, a decision about what was true. Watch what he does there. He found a specific angle the system had no answer for. Not despite having nothing, through what he built in the space that the absence created. You've made a decision about what you're missing. You probably don't even remember making it, but it's running underneath everything. The project you haven't started, the rooms you haven't walked into, the version of yourself you haven't reached for. Not because what you're missing is stopping you, because what you decided it means, that's what's stopping you. What you're missing is real. The question is whether it gets to decide what's possible. Toji said no. And if you're watching this, you're probably closer to that decision than you think. Because you're here, looking for the thing that finally makes what you're missing feel like something you can work with, instead of something working against you. That's what the Star Heart Guild is. People making the same decision in a different room with different things missing at different stages. You're not the only one staring at what you don't have, and you don't have to figure out what to do with it alone. And the person who had everything, who never had to make that decision because the system gave him every answer, you already know who that is. Gojo Satoru had everything Toji didn't. Born into the Gojo family, one of the three great Jujutsu clans, the most powerful cursed energy in the series, A system built around what people like him could do. He didn't have to find a way around the room. He was the room's intended output. You've seen what that looks like from the outside. Overwhelming, undeniable, a level of power the system spent generations producing. Nobody questions whether Gojo belongs. The system answers that question before he walks in. You know someone like this. The person who seems to have everything the situation requires before they even start. Whose path looks clear in a way yours never has. And you've looked at that, and somewhere underneath it, decided it was proof that the starting point is what decides things. Watch how the problem gets solved there. The system handed him the answer. He didn't have to find the angle nobody else found. The system gave him one. Nothing was missing. So there was no decision to make about what missing something meant. That's not a criticism of Gojo. It's a description of what the starting point gives you and what it doesn't. Because what Toji built, in the space the system never touched, Gojo never had to build. The ability to find the angle nobody else was looking for. You've looked at someone who started with everything and used that as evidence that the starting point is what decides things. It isn't. What the starting point decides is what you get handed. What you build in the space it doesn't cover, that's different. That's yours. And the person who gets handed everything never has to build what you're building right now. Same world, opposite starting points. Gojo had what the system gives. Toji had what the system can't give. So what did Toji actually build? Not a technique, not a power. A relationship to his own capability that the system never gave him, and that nobody else could take from him either. Because what you build in the space the system ignores, that's not on the system list of things it can measure. Which means it's also not on the list of things it can remove. The system discarded him. It left behind everything it couldn't see. And that's what Toji walked into every room with. Look at what that actually is. Not overwhelming, not the thing the system produces when it's fully behind you. Something specific, something built, something that exists because he decided the absence of what he was missing was the space, not the ceiling. You don't need a different starting point. You need the decision Toji made. That what you're missing says nothing about what you can build. Not a feeling, not motivation, decision about what's true. And here's what makes it hard. It's not a decision the system makes for you. It's not a decision someone else can hand you. It's the one thing in this entire equation that only you can do. You're closer to it than you think. The fact that you're still here, that you haven't used what you're missing as a final answer, that's not nothing. That's the space still being open. That's what Toji understood. The system told him what he didn't have. It never got to tell him what that meant. Your limitations are not the problem. What you decide they mean, that's where everything starts. Toji made that decision alone. You don't have to. I built the Starheart Guild on Patreon for exactly that. Monthly challenges, deep dives. A crew that's making the same decision, so you don't have to figure out what to do with what you're missing by yourself. Founding enrollment is still open. First members in get their name on every video permanently. Everything's in the description. The system tells you what you're missing. It never gets to tell you what that means. Until next time, crew, under the glow of stars, we forge our future together. Captain Geo Bravo signing off. Peace.